real quick. So yeah, we just wanted to start by sharing that because, you know, Anne and Evelyn and Lynn, and actually we had so many that had shared their experience here, but we couldn't fit everybody into that one video. But you all just shared our mission with your own words and experience, and we've watched it a million times and we cry every time because we're just so grateful for our community. So,
and what we do and what we provide and share and receiving as well too. And it's very beautiful.
So all right, so we are gonna share our screen and start with our presentation so that everybody can see. So and then I'm gonna actually, if you're, go ahead and mute yourself. So here, and then I'll kind of go through what the workshop's going to look like real quick. So we are going to we're going to go through some different things today, and it's really about, for us, the Healy is just about being able to share how we use it, right? So for us, the Healy is a tool, and Brian and I are just, you know, bringing everybody together. That was an experience. The coaching I do is a tool. If you're not muted, could you go ahead and mute yourself? I think there's a few people not muted. Okay, perfect. So today we just want to share just some of the ways that we use the Healy, and this is just how we use it. There's plenty of ways out there. You can learn more about how to use the Healy on your back office, on the academy. There's lots of other people teaching different things, and I just encourage you that the way that we learn how to use the Healy is by using it, and we use it a lot, right? And so we just want you guys to be able to see a little bit of how we use it, and then and just really to inspire you. We want to be able to inspire you on how to use the Healy, maybe in different ways than you thought of. Maybe a lot of this stuff, you know, for us, we really don't have anything that new to teach. I mean, we go down to Saleen's every couple of months and do a workshop, and we're like, okay, we'll just keep teaching the different, like, we might step it up a little bit. We might do something just a little bit new, but, you know, we just keep sharing with you what we do, and hopefully it resonates and inspires you guys. So for us, we're just going to go through. So just to give you an idea, we're going to kind of go through some basics just for those of you who are brand new, just a few of the questions, nothing major, but just some things that people kind of don't always aren't clear on. We're going to go through the Blue app. We're going to do I'm going to teach you how I use protocols in my wellness center. And then we love empowering people. So being your own detective, really stepping it up on how you can actually use the Healy a little bit differently than I think most people think of. And then we're going to do a whole process on release that we did at our retreat. And we've got some fun things to share. At the end, we've got a really good giveaway. So definitely stay on until the end if you want to have win something worth a couple $100. So just it's a good one. And then at the very, very end, we're going to do question and answer. So we like to just flow through things. That way we don't get caught up in a lot of questions in the middle of it. So if you have a question, I encourage you to write it down. And at the very end, we're going to open it up to all the questions, and we'll answer as much of them as we can. But hopefully through our presentation, we'll answer as many questions through it already by the time that we get to the end. So, all right, so we are just going to roll, and I hope you have your Healy in hand. If you want to run any of this, you can. We also, Brian created this nice presentation, so you'll be able to see and follow along with us what your Healy looks like if it's certain slides that you know, that we want to show you on what to push and where to go and what to input. So we're going to start with our mission, and like we said, our mission is totally about just bringing higher frequency, about community, and that video, that's why we started with our video. Our video is definitely gets to hear from other people our hearts, and that's why we wanted to start with that, so that you guys could see what our mission really is. And the Healy is an amazing part of our mission. I mean, we use the Healy in so many ways, you know, personally, and in our groups, and our retreats, and our coaching, and our garden. And so we're going to talk a little bit about all of that. Did you want?
Yeah, so like Dawn mentioned, this is a tool that we use, and you know, we are using this for our higher awareness and to bring the light in, and that's what we love doing. That's what we love sharing. That's what we love creating and sharing and collaborating in all these aspects.
Yeah. So before we get started, one of the things that I really want you to do first is just get present. And take a minute real quick just to put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath in, and just get centered. I think it's really important when you're receiving information to be centered and present so that you can receive. So just take a second, and then we're going to roll right into the Healy Basics. So nice deep breath. We're all connecting. We're here to really bring the light. That's our intention, and just to connect into that. So our Healy Basics, this is just the stuff that, you know, we like to talk about with the quantum sensor is amazing, right? The quantum sensor, we have the thing about the quantum sensor is that it's consistent. It's a biofeedback. It's actually reading your energetic field and seeing where you're out of balance in frequencies in that moment. And the beauty of the Healy is that, you know, there are other biofeedback machines, but the Healy actually gives you it gives you your feedback, and then it actually gives you the program to run that you need, right? So understanding that when you do an analysis in the Blue app, it's reading where you're out of balance in frequencies, and it's giving you the top 5 categories of programs. So what do we have? About, I don't even know anymore, a couple hundred programs, maybe about 15 different categories of programs. And, you know, you're working with over 144,000 frequencies. So it's actually seeing where are you out of balance and what do you need right now in that moment. And we like to teach a lot about intention, right? And so whether you're using the Healy or not, being intentional life is really, really important, you know. And so getting clear on that before you run your analysis in the Blue app, really getting clear on what is your intention, and the more specific, the better. So if it's, you know, like to have relief and be present in this moment, you know, then you feel into that, and then you run the analysis. So I can't encourage you enough to get clear on your intention. Take a minute, like I just had you do, take a breath, put your hand on your heart, just get centered and present. You know, so many people, I think the Healy is so amazing and so easy to use, but that can also like cause us to just throw our finger on the assessment and not really be present in what we desire. And so just take a few moments, take a deep breath, get clear on what your intention is, and then put your thumbprint on that Blue app and run the assessment and see how, I know Brian will hold an intention for
for months,
mm-hmm. Right? And then the second he changes his intention, then his analysis starts to change. So really encourage you to hold that. You know, one of the things I think is so amazing also with the Healy is the individualized frequency programs are specific to you in that moment. And I heard a gentleman talk about this down last year when we were in Huntington Beach with Terry and Donna, and he was just talking about how, you know, when every single time you run a program in the Pink app, you could run release now, you can run release this evening, you can run release tomorrow, and it's a different program every single time because, you know, there's hundreds of frequencies in that one program, and the Healy is assessing you in that moment and just picking your top like 3 to 5 frequencies that it's going to work on. And until your saturation level comes up in that, it's not going to move on to the next frequencies, right? So when you run release right now, or any of, like I said, any of the programs in the Pink app, then you are, it's assessing in that moment, and then you run it again later, your frequencies are going to be different. Your saturation level, and saturation level meaning how much of that frequency do you need, right? Do you have? So it's like I always talk about it like a cup of water, right? So how much, you know, is your water cup full or is it empty? And that's basically what a saturation level of a frequency is. So I find it fascinating. And this is why if you take like a program and you run it consistently every single day for a very specific intention, you know, some people, it may only take a few days for you to really see results because your saturation levels, maybe those numbers come up and those frequencies, you're rolling through those frequencies a little quicker. But if you have a process that's been going on in the body or in your energy field for quite some time, then it might take a month for you to really notice a difference. And so, and that's with anything. I think, you know, we all in this kind of 3D world want things to happen very quickly. And we have to remember that just like when you birth a baby, it takes 9 months to grow that baby. It's, you know, and then I always would tell my moms, it's not going to just come off the very next day, the weight and everything. Same with the Healy or any process that you have going on in the body. So be patient and feel into like if you want to keep running that same program over and over and how you're feeling with that. So you know, working remotely is my favorite thing to do at the Healy. I know most of you I met working remotely with, and I think it's amazing. I mean, we have this tool, especially in this last 2 years where we were very disconnected, and for us to be able to help people remotely is awesome. I mean, I've done hundreds of remote sessions, and I can tell you that the Healy does some profound work. And so, you know, I encourage you, and I tell everybody this, I don't care if you're a practitioner or just, you know, anybody, I don't care, you know, whatever you are, grandma, single person, what a pet owner, it doesn't matter. Try your Healy remotely. I think that my confidence definitely got built by doing remote sessions, because I could sit here and I get on Zoom and I would do a remote session and people had such profound results. And every single time, I mean, I'd come out to Brian and be like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. It's just amazing to be able to provide this kind of experience for people. And I'm just tapping in, running a program, seeing what, you know, doing their assessment, letting the Healy work its magic. Really, it's amazing. So I just want to encourage you to, you know, whether it's on an animal, like if you have somebody who has an animal who could use some support, or maybe they have a house that could use a clearing, or, you know, there's all kinds of ways that you can work remotely. It doesn't just have to be on people, but I just encourage you to do that. And then we love the limitless applications. I mean, we've used it
on everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. One of our funnest experiences was with our garden, right? So last year our garden just started growing like crazy, and I remember my dad saying, wow, this is the best garden we've ever had. And Brian and I would just chuckle because
we were on the garden application.
We were running, we would go into our Blue app and we were putting in the garden, and we were running, you know, the digital nutrition frequencies for it. And it was amazing. So all these different things. And, you know, you see on here goals. I mean, I know we've done lots of, you know, a lot of our Zooms, and they're all on our YouTube of how to use it with goals. So I I use it with all my coaching clients. It's profound. So, all right. So microcurrent. This is a question we get all the time. Microcurrent, coil, or completely just the Healy, no connection. So I want to just get clear on this. Microcurrent is when you're using the microcurrent, you're hooked up to the wires, and you have either the wristbands, or you've got the sticky pads, or there's TENS accessories. I know lots of people have like the gloves and socks and knee things that you can get off of Amazon and hook them up to. And so the microcurrent, and we also, if you want to know more about the microcurrent, Dr. Webb did a deep dive for us last year, all on the microcurrent. But again, you can find that on our YouTube. But the microcurrent is when you're working with something physically, you want to be, if you're working on something very physical body, like injury, for me, like how many times, I had a lot of things happen this last few months. I had a spider bite, those kinds of things where I'm working on like really physical stuff. I'm using the microcurrent for those. And also the coil is very physical. So if you're using the coil, you need to have it on you, right? So microcurrent and coil are for very physical things, but different. They're not the same. A lot of people think that the microcurrent and the coil are the same, and they're not. So microcurrent, the only way you're going to get the microcurrent frequencies is if you are hooked up to the wires. And you can do that, like I said, through the wristbands, through all these, sticky pads, through all the accessories. The digital nutrition and stem cell are really effective through the microcurrent because those are very physical things. So just think about, like, is this something very physical I'm working on? Then I probably want to do the microcurrent. Now, some people, though, are really sensitive and they can't even have the Healy hooked up to them. They just receive the frequencies, and that's totally fine. All of my remote sessions, nobody's hooked up, right? When I first got my Healy, I don't even, honestly, I like 7 months before, the coil didn't even come out until 7 months after I had my Healy. I never ran my Healy really. I didn't really use the microcurrent that much. I had all these amazing results without it. So it's really up to you. You have to, this is where you need to just try things out and see what works for you. Sometimes I'm running microcurrent all the time. Sometimes I'm just running my Healy on myself remotely. And sometimes I've got the coil. Like when I said I got an injury, I dislocated my toe a few months ago. And you know what I did? I put the coil on my Healy and I put it in my sock, and I just ran it over and over and over again to help with the circulation and inflammation. So the coil is definitely only for if you have it on the body. So if you're if you're working remotely and you don't have the Healy on the person or yourself that you're working on, you do not have the coil on. You take the coil off. Also, I personally don't use the coil if I'm working on something more spiritually. The coil for me feels very much like, it tightens up. It like really makes a strong current around you, right? So that's how I use the coil. So anything else there?
No.
All right. Brian and I want to kind of give you a deep dive on how we use the Blue app, just some of the things that we use. And so my very favorite thing is Creative Homeopathy in the Blue app. So you go into the Blue app, and again, intention, intention, intention. I'm going to say that 100 times through this. So before you go to run your assessment for Creative Homeopathy, hold the intention for what it is. So Creative Homeopathy, I cannot tell you how many people experience when I run this on them and with my clients, they feel a lightness happening. They feel things kind of shedding off of them or coming up and releasing. So especially in this day and age right now, in this time that we're in, a lot is happening in this world. A lot's happening on this planet. And the more that you can release, the better you're going to do. And that's what today we're really going to talk about, releasing a lot. So, so Creative Homeopathy, if, we all have stuff, right? We've all got things that we've gone through. And even if you don't even know what it is, it's still there. So hold your intention before you run the assessment. And, you know, whether it's, like I said, to feel safe, like I feel safe and protected, or I feel joy and happiness, whatever it is for you. And then hold your thumb down. Creative homeopathy takes a while. It's like the longest one to do the assessment. So be patient in that. And just, I always like to tell people to feel into, what does it feel like? What does it feel like to have relief? When you take a deep breath and you let the breath out, what is that? That feels so good, right? Maybe when you go for a hike or a walk, and the feeling after, it's like the relief, it's the release of energy, and it's the relaxation. And, you know, what do you feel like in that moment? So really bring in the feeling of whatever that intention is for you. And then Brian loves the Alaskan gems.
So I use Alaskan gems all the time, actually, every day. And I use it for things in my higher emotional, spiritual, energetic levels. So I might hold intention for, like, say, for example, like leading with my heart. And I'll run the Alaskan gems for up to 8 hours a day. And I'll keep that same intention for, like what Don mentioned, for months. And it's kind of cool because when I do that and hold that same intention, you see the subtle things happening. So you might get your first top 5 that come up. But then over time, they might start switching around. And it's kind of fun to just kind of see how that works and see how those results are for you. So I really use the Alaskan gems for those spiritual things, those energetic things that I work on. And for me, it's gentle for me, because I've done other ones, some other applications, and they're just maybe just a little too much for me. So I always stick with the Alaskan gems for myself. And that's kind of the cool thing too, to kind of play around with each of these programs and just see which ones work for you the best, and do multiple ones if you want to.
Yeah. And you know, we talk about can vibrate up to 8 hours. And this is, again, you really have to just try things out for yourself. I mean, some people can only do 39 seconds. Some people only do 5 minutes. I personally have found really great results for the creative homeopathy for 8 hours, but some that might be way too much for. And pay attention to the time of day you do it. Like Brian loves to vibrate on the Alaskan gems at night while we're sleeping. And for the most part, I can handle it, but I can tell you, even him next to me, like sometimes we've had things that we've ran at night. We're like, oh my gosh, turn the Healy off. Stop. Yeah, it's just too much. So pay attention. If you're feeling kind of frazzled, then turn your Healy off. So, but, and then the other ones are Bach flowers and Australian bush flowers. You know, these are super powerful. All this stuff is really great. Again, look at what are you looking for? Again, my favorite is the creative homeopathy for the trauma. But then there's some people that when they come to me and I'm like, okay, they definitely have had like pretty good, you know, severe PTSD, I'll use the Australian bush on them. You know, and I try different things out too, because I feel like we all respond to different things. You know, and so if the creative homeopathy isn't working for somebody, then especially like if they've got some severe anxiety, then I'll try out the Australian bush flowers. And again, they're all a little bit different. You want to just kind of build up with these. So I wouldn't recommend just like doing your assessment and running 8 hours. I would build up. I would try 26 minutes or 12 minutes and see how you feel, and then work your way up. Because we don't want to, you know, I know some people on this call have done lots of vibrations and then they've jacked themselves for the couple days. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Just to stress is that it is, you know, to build up on these vibrations. I remember one time when we first got the Healy, we were doing I think protection or something on the house. Mm-hmm. We run the protection program in the Blue app for 8 hours, but 2 hours into it, we're like, whoa, we got to stop. It was just too much.
Yeah.
So just be very aware of when you do run these programs. Just be aware of yourself and how you feel with that.
Yep. Always self-awareness for sure. So, all right, we're going to move on up to building effective protocols. And so people always ask me, I do frequency therapy. Well, I do it a lot. I do it in my office at my wellness center. I also do it just on frequency therapy sessions on Zoom. And then I help my clients, build protocols. And when I talk about protocols, it's like, we have the Healy is so amazing, and we also have an amazing resource in the Healy Advisor. And so I want to go through like kind of how I use both to create even a more effective protocol when you're working on something very specific. And so this is like, if somebody comes into me and they're working on, well, I'm a colon hydrotherapist, like I said, so I get a lot of gut health stuff. So that one is very common for me. But gut health, the reason I figured this out is because gut health, you can have poor gut health because of many things. Like you can have it. Oh, Karen, you're saying you don't see our PowerPoint? Sorry.
Yeah, all I see is a black screen, so I don't know if everybody else is seeing just a black screen or.
Huh.
I can see it. I can see the building effective protocol.
Okay, good. Then it's just my computer. Then I probably have to do an update. Speaking of updates, thank you.
Okay. I was like, oh,
I noticed that.
Okay. So anyway, for gut health, like the reason I started looking at using the Heal Advisor and the analysis piece is that I had somebody coming into me and we couldn't figure out, gut health can come from all kinds of things, hormones, nervous system, all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of where this came from. But so this is really about, do you have something very specific that you want to work on, and how can you build yourself a protocol? And when I say protocol, it's like picking out, like 3 programs that you're going to run for a couple of weeks every day, right? If you're working on your hormones, or you're working on weight loss, or you're working on a knee injury, or you're working on your lungs, or whatever it is, you can't just expect to run a program and then everything's going to clear up. That's just not what happens, right? So you need to, this is going to help you to be really specific. So what we're going to do is show you how we do that. So the biggest thing for us is, this is going to help you to get out of the titles and get into the frequencies. So this process, I love that. People are always like really caught up in the titles of the programs. I remember somebody saying, I don't understand why skin keeps coming up for me. And it's like, out of the hundreds of frequencies in that one program, they named it skin. Yes, maybe like it may work really well on the skin, but there's also, hundreds of frequencies in there. And somewhere in that is where you're out of balance. But the other thing is that this is what I learned, is that when I started typing into the Heal Advisor specific things that I wanted to work on with my clients, and I found like, if I don't know, I like leaky gut came up, or I was typing in leaky gut, and then care and gold cycle comes up, and I'm like, I had no idea. Like, this is where getting out of the titles of things and understanding that the frequencies help all different kinds of things. So I encourage you to go into your Heal Advisor and start playing with this. And this process, what we're going to teach you, is really going to it's going to help you have a deeper understanding of the frequency programs. Because when I started looking at the Heal Advisor and then looking at my clients' analysis and understanding them more, it gave me a deeper knowledge. So we want to show you. So this is what we're talking about. This is the Heal Advisor, okay? When you open up the Heal Advisor, you're going to see this, and it'll ask you like, all IMF programs, or which ones that you want to use. And of course, right now. So I just typed in the search filter anxiety, okay? And this is what pops up in the Heal Advisor for anxiety. So you're going to see, it shows you that mental balance, acute, is good for anxiety. Psyche and digital nutrition is good for anxiety. Relax and gold cycle is good for anxiety. So what I started to do was I started typing in exactly what I was working on with my client, and I write a list of it. I write it all down. And then, well, here's our list of what just came up, okay? And I have that list. And then what I would do is I would do their assessment on them in the Blue app. And now I'm looking at the assessment and going, okay, which programs are coming up for them in their assessment that also in the Heal Advisor is saying is good for anxiety. So as you can see back here, we had all of these that the Heal Advisor results showed, right? And now I'm looking at their analysis and I'm seeing, oh, sleep programs is in that and mental balance programs. So I'm gonna pick those two categories out, and I'm gonna do the assessment on them for those categories because we're specifically working on anxiety. And then when I do that, it shows you, okay, well, interesting. So the Heal Advisor said that the sleep program bed rest is good for anxiety. And now it's popping up on my client's analysis. So I'm going to run that one. And then mental balance was also came up under the Heal Advisor for anxiety. And my client got feel good systemic. So I'm going to run, those are the two that I'm going to pick out. So it's kind of like it's kind of like a Venn diagram, right? Like you've got your results of the Heal Advisor, and then you have your results of your analysis, and then you figure out which ones are matching on both of those lists. And that's how you build an effective protocol. So this has helped me so much to understand the programs, because going back to here, I did not know, like there's certain things that I didn't know, like that were, I knew that, like I knew inner unity was good for anxiety, right? I knew that. Being makes sense, but I never thought like, okay, bed rest or exam systemic or, psyche. I mean, those make sense, but there's a few on here that I did not know. So as you do this, you'll start to see. And then I always encourage people kind of journal. If you're working on something specific and after you do this, see what pops up in your Blue app consistently, like maybe for a week. If you see that, say, mental balance, feel good systemic is coming up for you every day, then keep writing that down and keep a little note of it so that you can see really where your body needs some help. So anyway, this is how I work with my clients to really hyper focus on what they need. So I'm taking what we're working on, their focus, and then I'm putting it into the Heal Advisor, and then I'm doing their analysis, and then I come up with this. So then I would run bed rest and feel good systemic, and I would have them do that every day for like 5 to 7 days to see how that works for them. And then we would redo this whole thing again. So all right, then this went into be your own detective. I love this, right? So after we started doing that with the protocols and using the Heal Advisor, I don't know if any of you, I know many of you saw Jai. We work with Jai a lot at schooloffrequency.com, and he did a 3-week system reboot for us. It's, again, that one's on our YouTube channel. And after he did that, I was going through his notes, and then I was going through my own notes of what I do at my office, and then I was going through the Heal Advisor. And I had this like really amazing aha moment with my client. And I had been working on somebody who again, this is kind of the story I was telling in the beginning, but I didn't go into it. I was working on somebody, and we could not figure out exactly where these gut issues were coming from. And she's working with a functional medicine doctor, she's at UCLA, all these different things, and we couldn't figure out, okay, what exactly is causing these gut issues? And after I started doing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, for her, like the hormones kept coming up. So then we started running the hormone programs, which then helped her with her gut issues. And so it made me think, like, how can we use the Healy when you have a symptom, but you don't know where it's stemming from? And again, it's not the Healy is not like, it's not giving you medical advice or anything. This is just us empowering ourselves with the information that the Healy provides, just to stimulate you on, hey, what direction could I look that may help me? And, you know, and then you dig deeper and you ask questions. So one of the things that, like the other day I had a client who, on her assessment, and we were actually working, I was actually working for her anxiety, but somewhere down the assessment, gallbladder and fatty degeneration came up. And I said, do you happen to have issues when you eat fatty foods? And she's like, yeah, I haven't been able to figure out why my stomach hurts, and I've been changing my diet around. I'm like, you know, just take a look at your gallbladder, like maybe do a gallbladder cleanse. I mean, these are things that like this is obviously, you know, what I do in my office, but using these different analysis, I like to be a detective. I had somebody who is, you know, meridians came up. It was like liver, I think it was liver meridian. And I'm like, hey, why don't you look up and see what's on that meridian, and see if any of your issues are coming up in those spots. So, you know, if you're looking for more answers, and I think that these days it's really important that we empower ourselves. I think that the more that we can take our own health in our hands and like try to really help support our bodies on a very, you know, healthy, supportive, physical way, without being stressed that you have to run off I know a lot of my clients are always searching for answers. And so this brings it brings the power into your own hands for a little while. Not that I'm saying you don't go to the doctor or anything like that, but this helps you to like, hey, I've been working on this. Like, I don't understand. I've gained this weight and I'm not sure what it's coming from. And then you see hormones keep coming up in your Healy. Well, take a look at your hormones and see if that's what could be causing the weight gain. Like if you just start doing a little research, how do hormones cause weight gain? Or maybe mental balance keeps coming up. How does emotional health cause weight gain? You know, like, so ask questions, dig deeper. Really, I think that the biggest thing that we try to teach is to connect with yourself and have awareness. So this is where, you know, I think we became so disconnected for so long, and now is a time for us to reconnect and really, you know, take responsibility, like be able to use the Healy in a deeper way. So that's that piece. And in a minute, I'm going to let you guys ask questions. All right. So we were going to share the video here, but we already shared it at the beginning because we wanted to get everybody into that space. But, you know, at our retreat, we use the Healy in, we always teach about, you know, our whole vision is not just the Healy. Like we use the Healy and we do all kinds of other processes and connections. And, but the Healy is something that has definitely been a really amazing tool. And so we do use it in our retreats. In our last retreat, everybody that was here had a Healy. And so we do help people to utilize it in a way to expand and release. And day one of our retreat was about, what do you want to release? And the biggest thing for releasing right now is, as you know, there's a lot happening, and the more that we can release, the more light you can let in, the more higher frequencies you can let in. And so at our retreat, we did this process, and I wanted to walk you guys through it because I feel like it is, you know, using the Healy in these ways where we can really help ourselves to whether it's reaching a goal, or it's much more, for us, we use it very much on a spiritual level. We do, like, it's very much, how can we help to clear some things up in ourselves so that we can really be who we came here to be. And so we want to walk you through this process, and it's all about releasing to receive. So I just want you to take a minute and get centered, take a breath, and really connect in with yourself and observe your life. You know, I like to talk about like the, you know, being a radar and scanning your life. So just connect in, kind of scan your life. And I want you to scan your life for a time where you felt a really high frequency, whether that be a time of joy, love, when you're in creativeness. I know, you know, Brian and I, when we get in the creative flow, it feels so good. So whatever that is for you, I just find a place that you can easily bring into that feeling of high frequency, that moment. Because I want you to understand, I want you to feel what different frequencies feel like. The awareness of frequencies is really important in your life, especially this year. So once you have that high frequency moment, just so that you can understand the difference of feeling, now I want you to scan your life and feel a lower frequency. Sometimes it could be overwhelm, fear, stress. And I don't want you to stay in that. I just want you to feel the difference of the frequencies and the difference of the feeling. And when you find that lower frequency, what is that doesn't serve you? And you know, you might have several, but feel the one that really pulls on you. And I want you to ask yourself, do you choose to release it? So many of my clients, I'll ask this and they'll instantly say yes, because in our heads, of course, we think, yes, I want to release this, but I want you to now drop down into your heart and be really honest with yourself. And I want you to feel if there's any resistance to releasing this. You know, some of the answers I get from this when my clients drop down is, ooh, if I release this, I might be vulnerable. Or if I release this, I might be seen. So I want you to really understand, because in order for you to be able to release what isn't serving you, you need to go deeper and feel what is it really that's holding this on. And then I want you to feel like the vision I get is like a balloon just lifting off of you. And in that balloon is this lower frequency. And I want you to feel it release from you. When you feel it lift from you, what does that feel like? How does it show up in your life once that's released? What does that make room for? Really get clear on that. Like, how good does that feel? It might be a little scary sometimes. Like, ooh, that feels uncomfortable, but that's okay. And now when you're in that space, I want you to write an intention statement around this release. So take your pen and paper and write down, what does it feel like to release this? Again, because we're working in, it is done. So what does that feel like? How do you show up? And I'm going to give you some examples of some of the intention statements that I have written. And also, just a fun fact, Anne gave us this, you know, when you're in your Blue app and you run in the Aura and you run the analysis, after you go to Vibrate, it will show you different statements. So if you get caught up and you can't, and I'll show you more about that later, but these are intention statements that I've written, and it's very much, and I want to give you some, you know, I'm able to set clear boundaries with others in my life and implement them so that I'm able to put my physical, emotional, mental well-being first, where I'm filled with joy, where I experience unconditional love. Like just really feel into what is it that you're releasing and how do you feel when it's released. And once you have that written down, you go into your Blue app and you click on Aura. And then you click on yourself and you see here, I have a picture. I've noticed that you really need a picture of yourself for the Aura analysis to work. A lot of people, if you just have your information in there as a client, but no picture, it won't work right. So make sure you have a picture of yourself. And then you're going to click Record Aura. And then it'll come up with this over here, and you're going to click Analysis. And then it only has the top 3 chakras highlighted with a check mark in blue. So I want you to click all of them because we want to work with everything. And then you're going to click Start Analysis. And then here, the next page where we always have my aura is strong and stable in there under focus, but you can go click on that and, you know, if like for me, I just click on it and then backspace to delete it. And you delete that. And then here is where you type in your intention statement of what it is. How do you feel in that release? And before you click Start Analysis, go back into that feeling of what I just brought you into, of the feeling of it releasing, the relief, the joy, whatever that is. The more that you can be in the feeling of it, the more you're speaking the language of the quantum. And the Healy speaks the language of the quantum, right? That's what you're speaking with. So before you start that analysis, the whole point of this is that you want the Healy to analyze what's getting in your way of this desired state. So your desired state is the release of what isn't serving you, right? But you're feeling that. What does it feel like? And then you're dropping into that and you click Start Analysis. And after you get that, you'll get these results. And this is where I have phenomenal results working on this. So you'll click Vibrate. And again, going back to what we've already taught you as far as time frames, I personally, with my clients, I usually am running them for, you know, anywhere from an hour to 8 hours. It just depends on the person and their sensitivity level and how long I've worked with them. So try this out. Maybe you're more of like, you know, a few minutes several times a day. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can use your Healy, but for me, I personally want to get this stuff done. I want to get it released and I want to hyper focus. So I usually do it for 8 hours. But again, be your own, you know what you are, how you respond. And once you vibrate, you want to vibrate on this so it saves. And we didn't actually show a slide of this, but once you do have this, you can click the home button on the bottom, that bottom left home, and you can click on list and you'll see this in there and you can actually swipe left and rename it. So in the Aura is the only place we can rename anymore. And you can continue. So what I like people to do that I work with is to be able to continue to drop into that feeling of what it feels like to release this, what shows up in your life, how good that feels, the opportunities, whatever that is for you. Really dream into it and do that each time before you click Start Vibration, because you're bringing yourself into that moment and you're connecting with this. Okay. So if you want to do more of these kinds of things, I love working with people, and we have a group starting up on July 6th. It's just a 4-week journey that I do. It's finding your soul power. It's a lot of releasing a lot of this emotional awareness and your frequency. The most important thing that we can be doing this year is focusing on your own personal frequency. The higher you can bring your frequency, the more light you can bring into this world and the more change that's going to happen. So I know people always are very passionate when they work with me of what's my purpose? What can I do? Well, right now, your purpose is first and foremost taking care of your own frequency, so that just think of yourself as like a little light. The higher your frequency goes, and as you're walking around, the more light you're bringing. So this is really important. And consciously creating each day, really focusing on intention, and connecting with your higher self, connecting with your soul, and bringing that into this life. We were listening to a gentleman we follow, and he was talking about, this is our master life. This is it right now. So how do you want to bring in, what do you want to bring in? And we all want to have more joy, creativity, clarity, centeredness, all those things, but how can you do that? And we love our community. So this is we offer this up, and this is going to be on the 6th. And for those of you on here, you have a Healy, we'll be using your Healy in this as well. Okay. Anything else that we forgot so far?
No, I think you're pretty spot on.
Whoop, whoop. Let's do some So this is our giveaway. So many of you know that Brian does web pages for our Healy group, all of the Healy world. It's myhealyworld.net. And a lot of people ask me, how do I share a Healy? Because, we like to do things that resonate with us. And so Brian created this beautiful web page that you can get a personalized web page. And I love helping people and coaching. And so we wanted to give out for anybody, for all of you that are on here, and a chance to win one of these things. So if you're interested in either of these, you can email us at elevated.life.healy@gmail.com and let us know what you're interested in. And on Friday morning, so you got to get it in by midnight on Thursday, because on Friday morning, we're going to pick a winner and we'll contact you. And if you don't win, but you still want these things, still contact us and let us know. And then we love to use the Healy for the greater good. And I think it's so amazing. Again, going back to, a lot of people come to us and say, I want to do more. What's my purpose? I want to help. And you know what? We have a Healy in our hands to be able to help. And you also have the power of yourself. And then we have the power of this group. So we were doing just 15 minutes where we pop on and we have a focus, and we all run our Healys together, holding that same intention. And we are going to do that all the way until the Lion's Gate. So all the way until August 7th, every Sunday, 9 a.m. Pacific. It's only 15 minutes. And those of you, I know many people have joined us when we did this. We did like 3 or 4 in a row a couple months ago. And it was so profound and it's so powerful. And so we wanted to start doing these again, because again, it's the more that we can connect, the better, and the more that we can do for others. And then here's our resources. Many of you asked about our website. That's where our Healy resources are on, thiselevatedlife.com. Here's the myhealyworld.net if you want your own personal webpage. And then if you ever want to check out what I do at my office, the frequency therapy that I offer, you can look there at Vitality Wellness Bishop. And now we're going to open it up, I think. Let me look at my notes, make sure I'm correct on this. Yeah, so now we're going to open it up to questions. Anybody have a question?
I have a quick question. Could you put the page up that talked about the intention? I had to deal with my dog for a second, so I can shoot it.
You know what? We are going to post this on our YouTube channel, the entire recording.
Awesome.
So that you can watch it, because I know that's why we did these, that's why we did the presentation like that, so you could see it and re-look at it and walk it through on your Healy, because I know sometimes things can glitch or you get distracted. So you'll be able to go to our Elevated Life YouTube, and we'll also send out an email with the recording as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi guys, it's great to see you guys. Yeah, I just wanted to find out, how do you use the goals
for goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it several different ways. I know I think we have, like last year we did one on goals and a couple, YouTubes on this, but you can do it in different places in the Blue app. You can set it up like when you set up a client, when it asks about a client, it says, is this a person, animal, building? It says group, right? So you could either one of those, group or other, you could put it into there as your goal. You type out, whatever your goal is. And again, I encourage you, like, even when you're doing that, when you could record the vibration of what that goal feels like, right? When you accomplish that, really get clear on it. And then you can run an assessment in the Blue app under all programs. See again with what does that goal feel like, and what's going to what needs to be cleared up for me to be able to reach that goal. I do it a lot in the aura as well, exactly what we just went through. You could do the same thing, but specifically for your intention for a goal that you're working on. Sometimes, even like if you're working on a goal, and a lot of times I'll use creative homeopathy in that, because hold your goal, again, getting very specific. You need to write your goal down. You need to feel into your goal, what it feels like to accomplish that. Bring in all your senses, get very clear on that, and then hold your intention. And if the creative homeopathy is a really great one, because what usually holds us back, like a lot of times it could be some kind of trauma or some kind of, even if it's just like a confidence or, so there's different things in the Blue app that you can run to clear that up. And then if you, and then there's also in the coaching app, there is, if you have the coaching, you can also work on goals in there. And there's actually a specific one that you can click on goals. So, and there's financial, relationship, all kinds of stuff. So those are all different ways. And if you want, if you ever need, you can get on our website and book a session with me, and I can help walk you through if you need more help with that. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you are doing like I have some friends that want me to do remote healings on them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I have to be on Zoom while I'm doing it? Can I just, they've give me permission to just do random, just give them energy whenever. And so, or do you have to have them on the Zoom and be connected with them?
No, you don't have to have them on Zoom. For me personally, what works, the very first time I do some kind of remote session, I like to be connected. I like to see somebody, because the thing is that the Healy's going to work no matter what, but the more intentional, the more present, the more that we're working with the frequencies, the more effective they're going to be. Let's just face it. You could sit and run frequencies on people all day long, but when they tap into and they're aware and it doesn't take much. So for me, when I'm initially working with somebody, I want them to be present, because I want them to, I want to explain to them. I want them to understand, because I want to empower people with their own awareness. So do you have to do that, Shelley? No, you don't have to. That's just what I recommend. Now, once I do a remote session on somebody, I will then, because I love showing how amazing the Healy is, that you don't have to be with somebody. You don't have to be on Zoom. So then the next step, I'll set up a time frame and I'll say, hey, what's good for you? Is 3 o'clock good? I think I did this for you, Shelley, when I did your remote session. Yeah. And then I texted you after and said, okay, I'm going to run blah, 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 whatever we picked out that came up for you. Are you ready? And you said yes. And I said, okay, I want you to hold your intention and I'm going to start the transmission. So it only takes a few moments, but I do like people to connect in. Now, I know, you can do it all different ways. I mean, people, if they give you, I know my clients, after I work with them on a coaching session and I have, I'll just let them know, okay, throughout the week, I'm going to be running this for you. So there is moments, but I also did an hour coaching session with them to get to that point. So, you know, it's really up to you. You can, some people are, and also some people are really sensitive. And so I want them to always know, like, hey, I'm going to start this. Make sure you let me know if how you're feeling. Because I know, Karen, you had people that were really sensitive that you could only run for a certain amount of time. And so I think that you never know who you're working with as far as how they're going to receive the frequencies. And so the first couple of times, I really like them to know that they're the ones in charge. I may be pushing the button and sending it to them, but they're the ones in charge. And so make sure that they understand that you're connected and that you can, you know, to pay attention.
Well, it was with
Could I make a comment?
Yeah, well,
Could
hold
I
on.
make a comment on this?
doing these kind
Oh, yeah, hold on one sec. Shelly, you cut out when you were saying that. So
oh,
there you go.
so
We're-
he
you're back.
was going in the hospital, and he was sedated. So, but he said you can do all the frequencies on me that you want, and so I was just running it 24 hours. And so, and it, you know, it's hard to tell how good, how well it worked, but I'm sure it did some benefit, you know. So
100%. In a situation like that, totally different. When somebody, I mean, I've had friends that were in the hospital that said, hey, as much as you can help, you know, help me. But also when you say 24 hours, I definitely would never run the frequencies like constantly. Definitely give people a break. So especially if they're, you know, not able to communicate with you, I would
yeah, I was actually kind of alternating it with some other people too.
Okay.
But I did like 8 hours at a time on him. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Awesome. All right, Heather, you said you wanted to share something?
Well, I wanted to comment specifically on this subject. When you connect with the person, rather than just do it at any odd time, they know it's going to happen and they open themselves and their heart to receive it. So they're going to get much more goodness out of it because they're open. Because in normal life, there is so much energy and vibrations coming at us from every direction that people don't even know, but they put up blocks and
Oh. Well, Heather, she'll pop right back in a second. She'll just start right where she left off. So hold on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Of course, yes.
Yeah, it does. And I know, Melanie, is it you? I think it's you, Melanie, that you've been stating the statement about choosing a choice, or isn't it you? Something about choosing health.
About what?
Talking to people who every time they pick up their Healy or are thinking about it, they are making a choice for health, for better health.
Yes, I love that. And exactly what Heather's saying is that, oh, you're opening up and you're receiving, right? So when you pick up your Healy and you choose to run it, you're making a choice for better health. I really love that. And I do, that's why I think that having people connect in and know that you're running it is important, because there is something about receiving more of it. You know, if you're just running it and they don't really know, I mean, we may not know everything coming our way, but our higher self does know, right? So making sure that we are present and saying, yes, I want to receive this. I think that's really important. So.
Carolyn?
And you have a couple people with their hands up on those,
Yeah.
so you know.
Go ahead, Carolyn. You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Got it. Thank you. My question is about the apps. My Pink app has been doing this thing where I sign in, I do it, I pick a program, I'm ready to start the program, and then it pops me out again. And I've restarted it and it's still doing it. So it's like I'm not able to use my Pink program.
Yeah, so we did the technical stuff for early on, and what I said with any Pink app issues is just to delete your Pink app and then
reinstall it,
and that should clear it up. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any questions regarding anything that we went through?
There's some more hands.
I see hands. Where are hands at?
there.
Oh, I see. I see. Janine, you have a hand up. Maybe she doesn't mean to have a hand up. I don't know.
No, I do. I do.
Okay, there she is.
Can you give me your email address again?
Yes, no, sorry, wrong one.
Elevated.
elevated.life.healy@gmail.com. So,
Thank you.
yeah, Elman, you have a question?
Not more of a comment, somewhat a question. I've been using the coach almost identical to the way you suggested using the aura. And one of the things, so they learned with the coach, you have to identify how many you want to do. So with the aura, typically what I've been doing is doing all 7 of them, but the lower ones I add to more than 3. I make it maybe 4, 5, or 6 of them at a time. So that I'll do, it's about 30 that they'll usually run. Now, also just a comment with my daughter, first when I was doing it, she didn't want to know anything about what was being there, just do it. She just didn't want to pay attention. But then I read to her some of the results from the aura, and then the next day she wanted me to go back to it. She wanted to write them all down, and she became very interested and started doing it, and so that even starting to do it with her own Healy rather than with mine. So that's how it was. So first, she had no interest in what I was doing, but then after finding some results, then she was interested.
Is that's sometimes how people work. It's fascinating, isn't it? But the Healy, this is one of the things I always say, how many I know a lot of you guys, like we have many professionals on here who've been doing frequencies for 20 years. But how many machines have you worked with that actually speak a human language? Like they send you the results in English and you read it and go, wow. I mean, I can't tell you how many people when I run a assessment on them, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so spot on. So it's like you have this machine speaking back to you, and for you to be able to like have the awareness then and then work with, this is where it's like working with the frequencies. It's analyzing these things, and it's not only running the frequencies with you, but it's also giving you direction of where you can work. So it's really an amazing tool. So, all right, I know, Karen, did you have a question? Because your hand's up.
Yes, I actually have a question for Brian. Brian, you mentioned at the beginning that you run the Alaskan gem for yourself, which I run every morning before doing my meditation too. Mm-hmm. But do you run, because there's 2 of them, there's the Alaskan gem 1 and the Alaskan gem 2. Do you run both of them, or how do you use them in your daily practice?
I usually just run the Alaskan gems 1, and I just stick with that one. I haven't graduated to the 2nd level yet, but one of these days I might venture that way. So right now I'm just doing the first set of them.
Okay, because that's what I'm doing. Excellent, thanks.
Carrie, I see you got a question.
Carrie, do you have another question?
Yes, I have a question about, so I did sort of an experiment with a couple of friends, and because they were here, I had them do their own thumbprint on my phone. And so I came up with this thing where first I did all Healy programs, then I would run it for like the 249, then I would do the one that got the highest rating, do that. And I did this in succession. So I did all Healy programs, then the top one, then digital nutrition, then Alaskan gem, then homeopathy, chakra, Bach flower, and beauty. So I did them all, like however long it took to put it in, and then ran it for 249. Do you think that's a really like twisted way to do it? Or could I have potentially like exhausted them or gave them too much frequency?
No, I mean, again, this is what we're talking about. Like, this is why, how do you, like, what are different ways you want to use it and trying different things out? I think it's great that you tried that. And then it depends on, how did they feel? You'll know if there's too many frequencies. Like in the very beginning, when I used to use the Healy, I don't really get this anymore, but when I was running the Healy and doing a lot of remote sessions and working on a lot of people, I would get kind of Like I had to really pay attention to grounding myself. I had to go out and ground because I could feel it. And I am a feeler though. So, you know, but if you're people that you're working with, I always ask people before I start working with them kind of their sensitivity level. I think for me, because I am a feeler, I always want to know, how sensitive are you? How much do you feel things? So I get a little bit of a sense like that. But if they were fine during it, and just keep asking them as you're running it, I don't think that's too much based off of, because you're saying 2 minutes and 49 seconds. I mean, I'm running frequencies for 8 hours on people. So I don't necessarily think 2 minutes and 49 seconds is too much on each one of those. But again, everybody's different. So just, that's where I feel like communicating with your people or your own body, if you're working on yourself, is really important. Just keep an open like communication and awareness.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, because I've been experiencing some extreme chronic fatigue for like a while, like, and I just wondered if maybe I was over frequencing myself. And then my friend, who I did all of that to, felt really tired the next day, but it could have just been an environmental stuff. So yeah, I just didn't know if fatigue is a symptom of overdoing it.
I mean, I would say any kind of, the way I, like, if you look at frequencies, even when you do a detox or any kind of, when you're detoxing the body, sometimes you can feel tired, headachy, those kinds of things. So sometimes that can actually happen, right? Like if you're cleaning out the body. So for you, make sure you're drinking a lot of water when you're running frequencies for everybody. I mean, I always tell my clients, you need to have a glass of water when you come to my session. And then when we're done, you go get another glass of water. I mean, water is really important. So, you know, how much water are you drinking? And then also, if you feel like that, take a couple days off, see how you feel. Do you change at all? You know, I mean, you got to like work with things. Like if you feel like, am I overdoing it? Okay, I'm going to take a couple days off and see how I feel. If you still feel fatigued, then you know it's not too much frequencies, you know? Another thing, you know, the gold cycles are really balancing. So even if you go into the Blue app, do your assessment on gold cycle and run it for like, you know, 12 or 26 minutes, vibrate on that, that can usually tend to balance you out. But again, if you're over frequency, then give yourself a couple days off. I always go out. I like to ground myself in the earth, make sure I have water, and then I can feel into, is it frequency or is it something else? So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask one quickie question? Why does the acute program run a gray circle?
Acute on what? There's
on the pink programs. When you run the acute programs, that has a gray circle, not a white or a black.
I can answer that.
Okay.
It's because they only run one frequency, and it doesn't change. So there's no need for them to analyze and get the results back again. So when it's a white, that means that they're getting the results back, and so they can change the frequencies as they need it. When there's a gray line, that means they won't change anyway. There's only the one frequency.
Oh.
So is black not good? Because I'm hearing different things about that.
Well, black means that it is not getting the current is not flowing freely from the input to the output.
That's only when you're hooked up. So if you're going to see white when you have your coil in, and you'll see white when you have the microcurrents on. If that's black when you have the microcurrent, you know, the wristbands or tens, you know, any of the, or the little sticky pads, and it's black, then I have like I just do a little conductivity gel. You know, you can get a little gel, or I even have used aloe before, or just a little salt water, whatever. And it's just about the conductivity, right? But whenever you use your Healy just by itself without anything hooked up to it, it's always going to be black. So when I do remote sessions, mine always shows black, right? Because I'm not hooked up to anybody, or, you know, so.
Yeah, because I used it on my dog. Oh, sorry. I don't mean to hog. I'll let you go.
No, I was going to say, oftentimes it also means that you need to hydrate when the line is black. If you drink some water, it'll go white. And you can also spray water or put some water on, you know, if you're hooked up with a cable with the wristbands or your electrodes. And sometimes it's just because it's going from one frequency to another frequency, and it'll go from black to white, and it'll happen very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was using it on my dog, and when I had it with the coil, because she had a paw infection, and then when she was literally started crying when I put it over near her, so I put it on a very low frequency, and it stayed in black because I didn't want to overdo her. So that was why I was a little concerned. I didn't know if because it was black, it meant she wasn't getting anything.
No, not at all. But again, when you say you were using the coil, if you're using the coil on your dog, on the dog's paws, then it needs to be on the dog's paw, right? Otherwise, take the coil out and just use it remotely like that. So the other thing you can do for well, I mean anybody, but you know, if you go into the Blue app and you do the analysis on your animal, and then you vibrate, animals are really, they receive the vibration. They're very, just like children, they're very susceptible. They experience changes pretty quickly. So you can vibrate for, you know, just in
Yes, my dog was, I almost thought I had to put her to sleep a month ago, and I'm doing her twice a day for like 12 whatever minutes, and she's like completely stable.
Ah, that's awesome. Love that. That's so great.
I just want to chime in. I had a cat with a severe eye infection, and I did the Healy on her. Took, like, her eye was completely shut, and then it was so red it was brown. It was just awful. And I gave her some colloidal silver, but I ran the Healy on her continuously for, well, not continuously, like there were some breaks in it, but for about 5 days, and the eye infection was gone. It was awesome.
I love that. Yeah.
Can you, if somebody has a metal in their knee or something, or from a bone thing, can you still use the microcurrents on them? Is that okay?
You just don't use it, you just don't want to put it on that area, right? So there are certain things that you do not, like pacemakers and things like that, you can't use the microcurrent. But when somebody has metal in a certain area, then you just don't put it on that area. So
okay.
Suzanne, I know you have your hand is raised. Oh, you got to unmute yourself.
All right. It's just a question about the vibrate. I know how the microcurrent generates frequencies, how the coil generates frequencies. How does vibrate generate frequencies?
That's working through the quantum field. So the quantum sensor, it's working through the quantum field. That's why when it goes through and it asks all the questions in the Blue app about have you ever done like any kind of remote healing? Like if you've done any kind of, So say, how does that work? I always like to ask people, like, do you know how?
Okay. Oh, no. I was just wondering if there was a physical reason, like, you know, the microcurrent is a physical reason.
It's the
So it's not. So this is through the quantum sensor, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So when people ask that, I'm like, so if you understand when you've had some kind of remote healing, it's the same. It's working in the quantum field, right? And that's why the quantum sensor is so amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Denise, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. We're traveling. We're out here in Wyoming. So I just wanted to let you know, if I lose you, just go on. It's because I got a bad signal. But I have noticed that when I've set a vibrate for 4 or 5 hours or whatever, when it's done vibrating, those programs, they were set up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, have changed in sequence. So say eyes was at number 1 or whatever, meridians, 1 was at the top of it. The percentage dropped when I got done, and it was like, say it was started at 70, it dropped to like 20. You know, what is that? Why are they changing sequence when it's done vibrating? Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure I've seen that.
Okay.
Elman, do you have an answer?
Yeah, I've done a lot of experimenting, and I noticed that it does change, and it's because at the beginning, this is how much you needed. Once you've had these frequencies, then you don't need as much of it. So that the intensity of your need has reduced.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes. Okay. Thanks.
That's cool. I've actually never paid attention to that. So thank you, Denise and Elman, for sharing that, because now I'm going to be a nerd about it. Ravi, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. The woman that was just talking about the cat and the eyes, my dog has the same situation. She's like taking a bunch of drops. I was wondering, what programs is she running on the eyes for the cat?
Carolyn, what program did you run for your cat?
So what I did was I set the intention to heal her eye, and I just ran everything. So I just go with the flow.
So are you running in the Blue app? Is that what you're saying, Carolyn?
Yeah, that's where I was running in the Blue app, because
and are you doing the animal programs or the all Healy programs?
The all Healy program.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Any other questions? Donna, do you have a question? Oh, you're just saying hi.
Hey, this is Denise again.
Okay.
I was just wondering about the retreat in October. Do you have lots of openings, or I possibly might have someone coming with me if you have availability?
Yeah, we are literally just opening up registration. We've got a few people on the list, but we have, we've got some, we already have you on the list, Denise, because you had told us that you were going to come.
Yes.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Carrie, you have your hand up?
Were you talking to me?
Oh, no, Carrie passed.
Carrie.
Hey, I'm trying to unmute myself and lower my hand. Okay. Yeah, that retreat sounds really interesting. I wished I would have gone to the last one, but I'm stuck here in Canada.
Hopefully not.
But we can get out now, but we still have to quarantine for 14 days, so whatever. The question about the animals, like, yeah, I have an old dog, like she's 12 and she's got a bladder stone. So anybody have any experiences with that? I've never really, I tried running the programs on her when I first got the Healy, but yeah. So any recommendations?
Yeah. So you know how I taught you how to make your own protocol? In this presentation, we went through making your own protocol and using the Heal Advisor. So I would type in bladder or bladder stones or whatever into the Heal Advisor, see what pops up, and start running those programs, and then also do the assessment on your dog and start building a special program, just a whole protocol. So, bladder, kidneys, all those kinds of things that I'm sure will come up in the Heal Advisor, but then also seeing what pops up for your dog and doing the all Healy programs assessment, right? Just exactly like we walked you through today.
Yeah.
And see, we've had so many people have amazing results with their animals with the Healy. So they're really responsive, and start running. And again, pay attention to your animals. Some animals can handle, just like humans, some animals can handle a lot more frequencies than others. So just keep an eye on your dog or your cat. Wait, what was it? Dog.
The dog.
Yeah. Dog. So yeah, keep an eye on your dog and see how they respond. But
yeah, she's super sensitive. So yeah.
So maybe start with the animal programs in the Blue app and run the vibration for maybe just a couple minutes at first, and just see how your dog responds.
I guess I was more putting out there that I've never really used the animal program, so that I'm not haven't touched on that. So if anybody else has used it, or what's the difference between that and using the all Healy programs?
So the animal programs are just specific ones for animals, like with things that so Karen's holding up over here your animal kit. So like you can, if whether or not you have the subscription to the animal programs, you can always do the assessment in the Blue app under the animal and Vibrate. And it's just specific frequency programs for things that for animals. And then you can also get the animal subscription, which then you can go into the Pink app and run those animal programs for your dogs. So,
Right.
And honestly, the frequencies are frequencies, so it's not going to be any different than how you run it on yourself. You're going to do the same kinds of things, but you're just going to think of it like when you first started working on yourself and you're just kind of feeling into it and doing your assessments and seeing how you feel. That's the same. You're going to work with your dog the same way.
Okay.
So,
all right. I've been so busy focusing on my own healing, like literally the sucker is just reserved for me and maybe a little bit on the family. And then, yeah, if the animals can glean off some of the energy, great.
That's what happens. That's why people end up getting more than one Healy, because they don't want to give theirs up. So
yeah. I mean, yes, bring in the finances. That's another program I need to run.
Goals.
Okay.
So, all right. Any other questions? I don't see any other. Oh, Saline, you do.
Yeah. Want to find out what programs people have successful on autoimmune issues.
Okay.
Any suggestions?
I know there's a lot of people on here who are working on their own health or with others. Does anybody have a autoimmune like story of any programs? Well, I'll pop in because I work with autoimmune people all the time. So, usually with autoimmune, I mean, for me, because I know that a lot of it starts in the gut. So I do work on their gut health a lot. And autoimmune, the immune, so Clean All, I really love Clean All and Deep Cycle to help clean out. But the immune system in BioHarmony 1 or 2, I can't remember. That one I also use for autoimmune stuff, allergies, that kind of thing. I use Bioenergetic Boost for very much like viruses and stuff. I have found that works amazing for that. And then the immune system one works really well for supporting immune system issues, right? Also in digital nutrition, there's immune system, and you could probably type into the Heal Advisor autoimmune, and they would probably show you all the things that pop up. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm always amazed. Like I said, with what comes up in the Heal Advisor, like I said, with my one client, care kept coming up, and she's like, I take care of myself, but then we realized it was for leaky gut, right? So, or whatever, I can't remember the exact, but so I would go into the Heal Advisor, type it up and see, because and then go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have questions?
Hi, on the issue of the animal programs, I'm trying to decide like whether or not I should get the subscription, or if you feel that the Blue app is sufficient, because I'm just noticing my dog is very fidgety and I just don't want to go to all that expense. If she's just going to be all like irritated with me, or do you think the Blue is enough?
I think they're both really effective, and they're very different. So in the Blue app, it's just touching on the frequencies in each of those. Where in the Pink app, it's a deep dive into that specific thing. Just know that when you get the subscription, it's not very expensive, and you can cancel it. I mean, it's a month-to-month thing, so you get it for a month and see, and then you can cancel.
Oh, okay.
It. Yeah, it's really inexpensive. I mean, you're talking, I don't know offhand, but most of the subscriptions
like 30.
Are 20 or 30 bucks. I mean, I'd say it's probably like 20 bucks a month, maybe. So it's
26.
Yeah, it's about almost 30.
So yeah, you get it for a month, and then you can see how she responds to it. But knowing, if you haven't done a lot with her in the Blue app, work her way up to that, you know, like do a little, just keep working in the Blue app with her, and then get the animal subscription and work with her in that. So.
And then
I've
on the
had it,
topic
I've had
of
it for 1 month and I've liked it.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
okay.
I'm babysitting right now 2 cats that don't belong to me. But last week I had a puppy that didn't belong to me, and she had a lot of separation anxiety. So when I ran the analysis on her, you know, under the animal programs, it says suffering. Well, you think, oh, you know, nobody wants your animal to suffer, but separation anxiety is them suffering.
Mhm.
So, you know, I went through all the protocols, and there was one time it shut off, and she came up to me and I was like, what is it? What is it? You know, and I wanted to see how much more time she had left, and it went off. So I put it back on and she went back to just chilling out like she had been before.
That's awesome.
So I think she really knew. She's only 8 months old. So she was probably very receptive to what we did while I had her.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. All right. Well, I think we're gonna, looks like everybody's good and wrapped up. So just to leave you guys with this, hearing everybody's stories on animals is amazing. And, you know, when I talked about doing remote sessions, so many people have an animal. They may not be always understanding frequencies or what the Healy is, but you know what? People with animals, they'll do anything for their animals. So just, you know, gift them, you know, like, hey, can I work on your animal? I don't even have to be there, and let them see how their animal does. I've had so many responses with that. You know, I work with kids. I work with all kinds of people. You guys have a tool in your hands that you can really help people with. And the beauty of it is that you bought it for yourself, right? Like, whoever just said, oh, Carrie, you were saying you use it on yourself all the time. Like, I know we love it for ourselves so much, and it's so easy to be able to share the experience of the Healy with others because it doesn't cost them anything, and you get to do it, and it builds your connection and it builds your confidence in using this device. But most importantly right now, like our biggest thing is, you know, raising the frequency of this planet. How do we do that? And by every day, you know, give Mother Earth some love. You could do it with frequencies. You could do it with just sending an intention of love. You could go hug a tree. You could go sit in the ground. And you can also help somebody else, you know, a human or an animal every day very easily, or send some love. Everything's intention, everything's frequency. So we just want to leave you with that. Just this week, intentionally, every day, send out the light, send out the love, and let's just keep creating this new earth that we are coming into.
Oh yeah.
So thank you all for joining us on a Sunday, and we will have this recording up. Yeah.
Can you mention your YouTube channel for those of us so they can subscribe as well?
Absolutely. It's Elevated Life on YouTube, and I encourage you to subscribe. We have really great trainings on there, really good stuff, and we just love to connect and help people to use the frequencies in this higher level. And we have a lot more coming. We've got Elevated Life Community coming, which is our community website. We have so many amazing people in our community, and we want to have a platform where people know where to find people that you resonate with, that you know are, you know, like Anne said in the video, like-minded family, and that's what we are. So Brian's working on our Elevated Life community website. That's not up yet, so you can still just go to thiselevatedlife.com. On there, it also has our YouTube, but Elevated Life is our YouTube. And then, and soon we'll have our Elevated Life retreats, because we are building our retreat center, expanding on that here soon. And it's all about connecting people and bringing the light and helping people wherever they're at to be able to go to the next step and keep raising frequency. So, all right. Well, everybody can unmute and give everybody a big love.
Thank you, Don and Brian.
Thank
you for the
you.
PowerPoint.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you,
Thank
Beth.
you.
Thank you.